Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of the Three Man Weave. We are back from Thanksgiving break, 75-59. Hoosiers beat Butler tonight here at Assembly Hall to capture the Hoosier Invitational. Not really sure why it's an invitational, really no bracket set up, no rhyme or reason to it. But
Everyone was invited to Bloomington to lose.
Exactly, and some people also played at Butler, Savannah State, and Gardner-Webb, and who else?
Chattanooga.
Yeah. So basically, the Hoosiers won 6-0 in the season. They are off to a 6-0 start for the second year in a row, but I think all three of us agree this is a different feel of this team. They came out tonight, and Butler came out and guarded what they have done really in the Brad Stevens era. They definitely don't have the talent that they've had in the past 2 years. There's no Shelvin Mack, no Gordon Hayward when the offense breaks down. Christian Hopkins tried to show it tonight, but in the second half, he was held to only one field goal attempt and none after the 18-minute mark. Connor talked a little bit about the intensity. Matching it was, I think, the big key for us coming into it, and IU did that tonight for all 40 minutes.
Yeah, they really did. They came out and they had their best offensive performance of the season by far. Yes, Butler's not a team that is going to wow you offensively. They don't have, like you said, they don't have the offensive playmaker they might have had in years past, but IU really was able to limit what they were able to do offensively, inside, outside, with the exception of the first half that Hopkins was able to have 13 points, I believe, in the first half, and was their only offense. And the way that they were able to shut down Butler in the second half was impressive. Tom Crean said that it was the most deflections he had ever seen in a team that he has coached. I believe 74 was the number that he threw out there. And to see a performance like that, to see an effort like that on the defensive side of the ball is something that maybe we haven't seen in years past out of this team. We have never seen a win quite like this where it has been 100% defense. This was a win tonight where I think that you really, really have to credit it to the defense, and that's something that with the seldom wins that IU has in recent years, you couldn't really say that about.
Tom mentioned before the 4-minute 4:33 mark, I think, in the first half was their last field goal that carried over into about the first 4 or 5 minutes of the second half. Tom said during that time, about a 10-minute stretch, he didn't even notice that IU hadn't scored. He was so proud of what they were doing on the other end of the floor. They were staying in the game. They were holding their lead. I believe Butler took a brief 32-31 lead on, I believe, Hopkins' last field goal of the game before then IU turned it up and started scoring a little bit. Avi, is this the first test for the Hoosiers? And again, this isn't the same Butler team as the past, but is this the first real game you feel like IU has played all year?
Right. And one thing that Connor said that really struck a chord with me is, he said, this was, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think it was like, this is a different type of game. And for me, we knew this IU team could play good defense. They've been doing it all year. But who have they been doing it against? Great.
Right.
You held Savannah State to, however many points, and you really shut down Chattanooga. But this is something different, all right? This is something that you can actually hang your hat on, and we can make, or at least I could, a more accurate assessment of the identity of this team. When you get blowout wins by an average of 20 whatever points against schools that, if it weren't for the city's name, I would have trouble pointing out to you on a map, all right? That's one thing. But it's an entirely different matter if you're beating a Butler team that, like you guys said, has been down. But we've seen how they play. We saw how they played against Evansville.
They're still guarding you for 40 minutes.
Right, exactly. This Butler team brought it the entire. Well, maybe I was going to say the entire game, but the game kind of fell off in the end towards the end there. But it was absolutely a significant win, and I think one that is definitely showing us what this team, is maybe the real deal.
The MVP of the tournament was Will Sheehy. He had 21 points tonight, third straight game. He has either set or matched his career high. Again, come off the bench. I think we're kind of taking it for granted what he does, but he was 8 for 10 from the line, 3 or 4 from behind the arc, set a career high with 3 threes. He came in early both halves. Christian Watford lost the contact early on. He had to come in. Then the second half, he came in again, but Tom Crean, again, after the game, credited what he did on the other end of the floor. He said that Victor Oladipo was kind of guarding Christian Hopkins. Will Sheehy accepted that role and did a great job on Hopkins. What do you guys think the keys were maybe in stopping Butler? Was it Hopkins not getting involved in the second half? Andrew Smith and Chase Stegall, I believe, were held to about 3 of 12 or 3 of 13 shooting. Those are 2 guys that started on last year's national runner-up team. What were you guys' keys to holding Butler?
Like you just said, the inside-out game for IU defensively was there tonight. And Andrew Smith is a guy that came in as Butler's leading scorer. maybe not necessarily a dominant low post player, a guy that likes to work outside a little bit as well. But Cody Zeller forced him outside of the block, and that's something that was really impressive to see tonight. Guy only had 3 points in the first half, none in the second half. A guy that IU talked about a lot coming into this game, said it was going to be huge for them to be able to stop a guy of his caliber, the way that he's able to work his way around the post. So as far as a defensive performance out of Cody Zeller, that was the best I had seen out of him to date. And to really limit a guy like Andrew Smith that has had success on a big stage, like he did last year, that was important to see for this IU team.
Smith shot 5 threes, which I think is not what Brad Stevens wants out of his 6'11" center. Avi, for you, what was the key?
What was the key tonight? It was, I think it was finishing the game. The first half and the second half were so wildly different. The toughness and the intangibles that we like to talk about that pretty much dominated the post-game press conference were there throughout. But, in the first half, it's just IU couldn't get on that run. They had the big plays, but they couldn't just get a spark that would really
We should credit the seniors. I don't mean to
go ahead.
butt in, but Roth, Pritchard coming off the bench, making some big plays there in the second half that really sparked that run.
Absolutely. I mean, Tom Pritchard came off the bench and, just put in absolute quality minutes, hustling his butt off, giving Cody. Well, was Cody and Pritchard at the same?
Called him a gazelle after the game. I believe, along with Wilshy being called a microwave by Jordan Hulls. Those were some of the names flying around. But then Roth came in, hit that three. I believe it was 35-32 when Roth came in.
Right.
Knocked down a three. I have a feeling he's going to do that many times this year. Just a timely three when IU needs it, when Cody is attracting all those guys down low. He's going to be able to kick it out to Roth. Guys, your final thoughts as they head into Wednesday, second road game of the year, but I think your first true road game going to NC State won't be anything like we saw at the Ford Center down in Evansville when it was probably 60-40 IU fans.
Going to be really interesting. If IU is able to win a game like NC State, they're going to have a lot of IU fans chirping about this Big Ten season coming up. Not that there's not enough hype around this team already, but that's going to be a huge test as to whether or not this team is as mature as we think they are, and if they have made that step.
That's top 25 right there.
I agree.
If you win on the road at State, that's top 25 right there, and then you start talking about,
Kentucky could be ranked number one if they get through Carolina on Saturday.
Exactly. And I think, one of the big takeaway points, well, not the big takeaway points, but just something they really need to improve on, because we can't just have a love fest the entire time. They need to rebound better. Good God, does this team need to rebound
Too much
better.
slapping at the ball, kind of. Not enough just a lot of the ball. Simple as that.
And they definitely were bigger than Butler tonight, but Butler, as they always do, they're smaller guys getting in there for rebounds. So I think Assembly Hall is definitely rocking tonight. That's one of the best atmospheres that I've seen in a while. I expect more of that this year, but again, Wednesday will be their first big test. They've struggled mightily in their 3 previous ACC Big Ten Challenge games, but this could be a different team this year. So for Connor O'Gara, Avi Zalen, thanks guys for watching, and unfortunately we will not be making the trip to Raleigh on Wednesday, but we will be back a week from tonight. The 1987 National Championship team gets honored here at Assembly Hall. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. If I can find the stop.